Saltcast. Welcome to the Saltcast. Here we share community updates, highlights from prior week's open lobby sessions and tournament matches, as well as learn about the Saltyverse and all of its denizens. If you want to catch all the tournament matches, be sure to watch the VOD. Today's episode features two sets. First off, we have BlueBlur versus Kidsonic. BlueBlur is an up-and-coming Sonic main in the Saltyverse, getting second place in their very first ever Super Salty Sanctuary Bros tournament, as well as racking up some wins against our most veteran players. Let's see how he fares against Kidsonic, who is the best Sonic player in the Saltyverse. Before we get into the action, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe, leave a like and a comment on the video. The match starts off with Kidsonic breaking the silence and getting some early damage on the table. He does miss a pretty big opportunity to secure a stock early, but he controls the match, slowly building up damage so BlueBlur is well over 100%. Unfortunately, he does lose a stock after an unfortunate Smash Bros moment, but very quickly secures this return to sender, putting a stamp on it with an up smash. At this point, the match slows down a bit, BlueBlur recognizing that he needs to adapt to Kidsonic's reaction time, returning a lot of the damage Kidsonic throws at him, but loses his second stock to a forward smash at the edge of the stage. No way he's getting back from that. BlueBlur uses his fresh stock to slowly build up damage until he was able to secure a very low off-screen back air, bringing both players down to a single stock. Kidsonic is unfazed and continues to build up damage with combos and punishes, ending off the first match with another up smash. The next match starts off fairly even. Both players go back and forth, sending and receiving damage, trying to catch the other doing something unsafe or positioning poorly. Getting to about 100% each, Kidsonic is able to take the first stock with a forward smash. Despite being at a high percent, Kidsonic is able to hold onto his stock, quickly building up damage on BlueBlur. In a blink of an eye, Kidsonic gets BlueBlur to an astonishing 110% and taking another stock with a forward smash. BlueBlur is unable to take the first stock from Kidsonic, who's at a ridiculous percent of 187. Kidsonic grabs BlueBlur at the edge of the stage, tossing him off with a back throw. He then catches a recovering BlueBlur with a down air, however both players trade. Kidsonic gets sent downward, but BlueBlur bounces off the stage, getting launched back off the stage. Kidsonic pursues, and in a last-ditch effort, BlueBlur air dodged Kidsonic's oncoming attack. However, he did not have enough time to recover, losing the stock and giving Kidsonic another win. The score is currently 2-0, and Kidsonic only needs one more win to take the set. Game 3 is where things really heat up. Both players have a very good understanding of their opponent as well as their character, Sonic. In this war of attrition, both players are constantly going back and forth, slowly building up damage. This stalemate lasts for quite a while. You could tell BlueBlur is locking in so he could keep this set going. He has a lot of work cut out for him, but utilizing all the knowledge he has built against Kidsonic is going to be a tool to do so. BlueBlur cannot afford to waste any moments. A solid minute has passed and both players have near identical percentages. It isn't until the 6-minute mark that BlueBlur was able to secure a stock on Kidsonic, giving him that advantage he needs. Unfortunately, Kidsonic gets a return to sender, putting the stamp on it with a forward air, bringing both players back to equal grounds. We're seeing a slightly different scenario now. Kidsonic maintains a healthy percent lead on BlueBlur, and unfortunately, BlueBlur does lose a stock attempting to air dodge back to the stage. BlueBlur wastes no time, however, chasing Kidsonic off the stage after respawning and hits him with a back air, pushing him underneath the stage and securing the return to sender with a spring, causing Kidsonic to bounce off the bottom of the stage out of bounds. Once again, both players are both at 0% on the final stock. The pressure is on for BlueBlur. Kidsonic wastes no time building up damage and taking control of the match. BlueBlur attempts to bring it back, slowly closing the gap in percentage between the two players. Kidsonic is triumphant in the end, taking the set with one final forward smash. What an awesome set! But what if I told you the final set of this Saltcast is beyond human? We have Sergeant Nair versus Kidsonic. If you guys don't know, Sergeant Nair is the pinnacle of what a low-tier warrior strives to be. His adult Link is exceptional. He constantly wins impossible matchups against the Saltyverse's prime contenders. making the poor matchups look a lot closer than what they really are. Real quick though, I want to add that both Kidsonic and Sergeant Nair are YouTubers, so be sure to subscribe to their channels, linked in the description below. Now let's get into our final set, the Battle of the Big Boys. This set starts off with a scene not viewed by many. An adult Link going toe-to-toe with an exceptional Sonic player. Sergeant Nair uses a combination of bombs, arrows, and boomerangs while looking for any opportunity to tack on some additional damage on Kidsonic. Despite Sergeant Nair having the percent lead, Kidsonic takes the first stock with a well-timed forward air. Sergeant Nair was able to take the first stock from Kidsonic, however, by punishing his homing attack with an up air. Once again, Kidsonic takes the percent lead and another stock with a forward smash. Sergeant Nair does his best to get a return to sender, but Kidsonic quickly racks up the damage and win a trade against Link's forward air with Sonic's back air, securing the first game of this set. Don't let the 2-stock fool you, there are a lot of turns in this set. Match 2 begins on one of the most cursed stages on rotation, Lilac Cruise. The shape of the stage can be a bother. For example, Link's bombs will roll off the stage if dropped at the corner or even bounce in directions unintentionally. Despite this, you can see both Kidsonic and Sergeant Nair going back and forth until, desperate to recover, Sergeant Nair air dodges to avoid Kidsonic's approach. But sadly, his recovery was stopped short by a spring, and Kidsonic secures the first stock at only 78%. Sergeant Nair does not falter. Taking advantage of being on a fresh stock, Sergeant Nair holds his ground, taking minimum damage and avoiding a lot of Kidsonic's approaches, using many of his projectiles to win trades, aerial punishes with moves like up air, and utilizing the shape of Lilac to get a bomb to bounce at the perfect angle, exploding on Sonic and taking the stock. Kidsonic does have an advantage coming back. Although 49 is not a killable percent, Kidsonic was able to quickly rack up some damage, able to maintain a percent advantage over Sergeant Nair. Link does an amazing job of trying to lessen the percentage gap, but an extremely well-timed spring from Kidsonic made it impossible for Sergeant Nair to recover, leaving him with just one more stock. Sergeant Nair is on his final stock and definitely has his work cut out for him. Luckily, he was able to put a lot of damage on Sonic before losing the previous stock. Once again, Sergeant Nair does an amazing job of avoiding Kidsonic's barrage of attacks. He continues to rack up damage, managing to predict and punish Sonic's homing attack with an up smash, bringing both players to the final stock of the match. What an amazing comeback. What started off as a losing game, Sergeant Nair was able to get 2 back-to-back KOs on Kidsonic. At this point in the match, Kidsonic kicks it up a notch. Both players go back and forth, constantly closing the percentage gap. Similar percentages on the final stock, it's impossible to predict who takes the second game. It wasn't until Sergeant Nair landed a very well-timed forward air that the winner was decided. Sergeant Nair takes the second game, making the score 1-1. The third match starts off with a familiar scene. Both players slowly racking up damage on each other, looking for small moments to capitalize on. But Kidsonic very quickly takes the lead and secures a KO with a forward smash. He is mostly unscathed with only 25% damage to his name. Kidsonic continues his assault. Taking advantage of his stock lead, he tries to get as much damage as he can on Sergeant Nair before he loses a stock. Sergeant Nair was not discouraged and continued to exchange blows with Kidsonic until he had the prime positioning to execute a risky dash attack, paying off when he secured the stock. The next stock is a bit unfortunate. Despite both players exchanging blows, keeping similar percentages between the two, Sergeant Nair experienced a Smash Bros moment, losing his second stock at an extremely pivotal moment, perhaps shifting momentum into Kidsonic favor. Despite Kidsonic being at a high percentage, he very quickly closes the gap between himself and Sergeant Nair. Despite being on his last stock, Sergeant Nair maintains his game plan, consistently racking up damage until he can find a moment or a gap to get off a big move to secure a stock. That moment shows itself when Sergeant Nair is able to execute a short hop forward air, connecting with just the first hit, but it was all he needed to bring this game to a single stock. Things are not looking great for Sergeant Nair. Being at such of a high percentage already puts him at a massive disadvantage. But to make matters worse, Kidsonic is not pulling any punches. He takes full advantage of this and continues to add damage while avoiding most of Sergeant Nair's approaches. All hope seems lost until this game-changing moment. While off stage, Sergeant Nair was able to catch Kidsonic in his recovery, causing him to bounce off the stage, and because he did not tech, that was all Sergeant Nair needed to take the third game. The score is now 2-1 in Sergeant Nair's favor. Game 4 was the shortest game of the set. Kidsonic controls the entire match, only losing a single stock. Perhaps adapting to Sergeant Nair's playstyle, Kidsonic had to do everything he could to keep the set going. With only one match left in this best of 5, who will be victorious in this final bout? It's the final match. Sergeant Nair starts off the match very aggressively, taking little damage and securing the first stock with a well-timed forward tilt. Unfortunately, Sergeant Nair could not hold on to the momentum. Being unable to recover after air dodging to avoid a spring, he no longer had the height to grab the ledge, losing a stock. Still determined, Sergeant Nair goes all out, quickly racking up the damage on Kidsonic, locking him down and taking one more stock with a very well-timed forward air. This puts Kidsonic in a desperate situation. He needs to get 2 stocks in order to take this set. Kidsonic powers up, going an entire stock without taking any damage. Getting linked to an astonishing 117%, Kidsonic takes the stock with a lethal forward air, bringing our final game to a last stock Game 5 scenario. Similar percentages and desire to take the set. Both players reached the final moment of this bout. Although Sergeant Nair was able to successfully get back on stage, he was greeted with one final forward smash from Kidsonic, ending not only the game, but the set as well. Kidsonic is victorious. What powerful sets we had today. Kidsonic was really on a roll. Now it's time for some community updates. Ethan wins a viewer choice poll and is the first of 3 players to get an invite to our major Super Salty Sanctuary Bros Invitational Tournament, which is going to be April 28th. Be sure to pull up to our Friday night Smashin' and Saturday Smashin' lobbies. If you get the most wins, you will receive an invite. Let me know if you enjoyed this format in the comments below. That's all for today, but before I sign off, make sure you get something to eat, brush your teeth, get a good night of sleep, but above all else, y'all, stay salty and I'll catch you next time.